On this episode of Femmegineering Women of Influence, I am joined by Moa Persdotter, gender equality expert and innovation strategist at Vinnova. From fighting bias in AI to shaping the future global leadership, Moa is proving that innovation without equity isn't innovation at all. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Femmegineering Women of Influence. I'm your host, Hanna Abdel Hamid. Today's guest is challenging the boundaries of what it means to be a woman in tech. Moa is a gender equality expert and innovation strategist at Vinnova, Sweden's innovation agency. Her work bridges funding, policy, and deep tech with a powerful focus on designing technology that promotes equality, not bias. She also contributes to global leadership effort through the Kofi Annan Foundation and will also be representing Sweden at the Nordic Innovation House in Silicon Valley. Moa, it is a true pleasure for me to have you today, and thank you so much for making this time.
Well, thank you so much for having me and inviting me to this podcast. I'm super excited for this conversation.
So am I. So let's dive in. I would like to ask you first, how did you find yourself in the tech industry, and how do you define yourself and your relationship with it?
Yeah, sure. So I don't come from engineering or coding as a background. My background is in political science, where I focused on how entrepreneurship can help to redesign welfare system. So I studied that at Lund University in Sweden. For 5 years, I have a master's degree in political science. And I was very active in the student life there and got engaged in entrepreneurship and innovation, how it can be connected to political science and social matters. So today I work at Vinnova, Sweden's innovation agency, where I focus on these questions, sustainability, gender equality, and inclusion in innovation. So I'm really combining political science and social questions with innovation and technology. So my connection to the tech industry isn't really about building technology itself. It's about purpose and perspective, where I see technology, especially AI, not just as a tool or a product, but as a powerful levers for social change. And my role is to make sure that innovation doesn't just happen, but that it's happening in ways that are inclusive, norm critical, and truly drive gender equality and systemic change.
It's such an interesting segue between how in your current job and throughout your career, you are always trying to find the connection between social sciences, political science, and innovation. So I find it's very interesting, as a career path or as a career way that led you where you are right now. And from a previous conversation that we had, I remember you saying that you don't see yourself as a woman in tech in the traditional sense. So I would like to know, why is that? And also, why do you think the label women in tech needs to be expanded?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great question. Well, as I said before, I don't see myself as a traditional woman in tech because I'm not from coding or programming. But my work is about innovation, policy, and inclusion in the innovation ecosystem, meaning shaping how technology, and particularly then AI, is applied. So I think we need to be careful with labels. Women in tech should absolutely celebrate those who build and develop technology, because that is about power. And women are still underrepresented there. But at the same time, we need to recognize that there are many ways to contribute through policy, innovation management, research, or social impact. So by broadening the definition while still respecting the role of developers and programmers, tech builders, we make the tech ecosystem richer and more reflective of diverse experiences, knowledge, and perspectives with this kind of definition.
I like the point that you're making, because it's true. Women in tech, when we say this, sentence, women in tech, we only think of developers, of the data scientists, the engineers who are building, but behind the scenes, there are other people who are working to make things move forward towards equality towards, innovation or whatnot. So I like the fact that you are the first person that I speak to who's bringing this up. And I think there needs to be more awakening in the sense that women in tech does not just mean the people who are programming or building a product, but it could be also the people behind it. That's a very interesting point that you bring up. And if you can tell me more about your role at Vinnova and how your background in gender equality informs your work in innovation and funding.
Yeah, sure. So to begin with, Vinnova is Sweden's innovation agency, and our mission is to strengthen Sweden's innovation capacity and by so contribute to sustainable growth by investing in research and innovation. So in practice, my work is about creating the right conditions for collaboration between sectors such as government, industry, startups, academia, and civil society. And we want to see innovative solutions to be both socially impactful and scalable. So by embedding gender equality perspectives and inclusion into funding processes and innovation ecosystem, we really aim to shift the system itself and create innovations that are better for the broader mass of people and the broader society. Because when innovation is being designed inclusively, it doesn't just create growth, it also increases equality in our societies. So it actually makes the solutions more innovative.
And Moa, if I may dig deeper, when you say you're trying to make it more inclusive, you're trying to offer funding more inclusively, does that take into account just women, or does it also take in account like people who perhaps are just newly arrived in Sweden, or does it take in account people like a different age group? Because most of the time when we think about entrepreneurs or startups, we think about young people who just graduated from university, who are thinking about a specific idea that they want. But does that also include, like, let's say someone who has been in a different industry and then decided to do the jump in their mid-30s or mid-40s and start their own startup, or they have an idea? Is it inclusive of all isms, like I like to call them?
Yeah, definitely. So Sweden is a very startup-friendly country, and we are really building systems and possibilities for startups to grow and to have an international connection. When it comes to funding from Vinnova, we do not fund private persons, so to speak. We fund organizations. So to make the funding more inclusive, we really work with intermediates, meaning we work with different kind of ecosystem builders and organizations, as I said before, that comes from a wide range of sectors. It could be connected to universities like academia, but also the civil society. So by working with diverse range of actors, we also reach a diverse range of entrepreneurs and innovators. But we always need to raise the question, what is an entrepreneur or an innovator, and when is something really innovative? And by asking these critical questions, we also open up and include more diverse founders and idea owners.
Perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying this for me.
Sure. Yes, of course.
Now I would like to move to AI to promote gender equality program, which I recall you mentioned that you and one of your colleagues have started this program. So can you walk me through the ideas that sparked this program, and why was it important for you and your colleague to have this program in place?
Definitely. So the idea came from my colleague Sofia Ivarsson. She's a senior gender equality expert at Vinnova. And so what was noticed was that there were a lot of talk about AI and the risk of AI being biased back in 2019. And I mean, that discussion is still going on, and it's very, I mean, we really need to have that discussion because it's still a huge problem. But we also saw a clear gap that we realized that yes, AI can reinforce bias, but it can also use to challenge it. So instead of asking the question of how AI can reinforce bias, we wanted to ask the question, well, how can we use AI to actually create gender equality?
Mhm.
Because if we ask the question like that, we could actually see if there's a possibility of building and developing AI solution with that particular aim, and also to see if an AI solution like that can be scalable
Mhm.
and profitable. So we developed a program named AI to Promote Gender Equality, where we focused on how AI can help solve gender equality, what barriers stand in the way for this to happen, who or what kind of actors need to collaborate to make this a reality, and is there already existing concrete examples that we can use? So that's how the program started, and we are still working with it. And we have done a couple of hackathons,
Mhm.
and we also funded some some projects, some actual AI startups um, with this specific focus.
Well, that sounds like a very interesting and enriching program to have running and helping others to promote gender equality. And Moa, if you could perhaps share with me, we all hear about, there is biases in AI. Can you share with me some more concrete examples of some of the biases that your team has encountered while either during the hackathon or just in the ideation phase of you wanting to create this program?
Yes, sure. We have some examples in our portfolio. So we have example one AI tool for fair venture capital decisions, wherein AI is deciding what kind of startup should get funding instead of a VC capitalist, for example. We have another example of gender equal recruitment bot. We have an AI tool that detects bias in children's books. For example, if it's always portrayed that it's a man being an entrepreneur or an innovator in a children's book, this can really affect their views of who can become that when they grow up, for example. And we also have different AI tools that detect bias in terms of movies and music, and also AI solutions that you can use when having an online meeting, for example. So it calculates who is talking. So it's a voice recognition solution. So it's
Mhm.
calculating who is talking and for how long time. So to make sure that you have more democratic meetings. So this is just a few examples, but there are more ways of using AI and apply AI to create a more democratic, social, equal society that we are really interested in looking into and exploring.
That's very interesting. And I just want to highlight that we often forget that it's in our childhood that we start creating a mind of our own. So the fact that you're trying to also catch gaps in representation as young as in children books, I find it very interesting and very important because it's true. I remember growing up reading all these princess books where the princess always must be saved by the prince, and it
Mm,
was never the other way around.
yeah.
And it never daunted on me, like, oh, why is it like this? But as I kept on growing, I began asking myself questions. So it's very interesting that in your program, you're even looking at children's book where biases could occur and we just are not that aware of it. Another bias that you didn't speak about, but I would like to bring up because I've read a lot about it. It's facial recognition programs. And I was wondering if you have any program that you have worked on, or if during your research you have touched upon the bias that occurs with facial recognition programs, and how did your team break it or address it?
Yeah, definitely. So bias is in AI starts with the data.
Mhm.
So if you have a skewed data or lack of data when you build your tech products, for example, if you don't use picture of a diverse population, it will not recognize the faces that is missing in this data set. So how are you making sure that your data is not biased, or I mean, it will always be biased, but making it less biased by asking these critical questions. And when we see that they really have thought about it, that they work with experts, not just in tech, but also in these social matters, because that's how you need to build your AI developer team. You can't just be developers. You also need to be experts in gender equality and behavioral science, for example, to ask these critical questions. So how we work with this is to ask critical questions and really always make sure that we put focus on this lack of data being the bigger problem when it comes to bias. But also, of course, how you look at the data and how you ask the questions, and then how you use the technology itself. It's bias is built in all along the way of the AI process. So you need to have this in mind through like the whole building process and the designing process and the application process. So it's not just in the ID phase. So really to make sure that we bring this up all the times to make sure we try to get away from these glitches and structural bias.
That's very interesting insight. And I'm actually even wondering, what about the teams behind who is building these programs? Do you think it is also important for these teams themselves to be diverse in order to avoid any biases when they're training the machines or when they're building these programs?
Yes, for sure. We need to have diverse teams in different kinds of meaning. I mean, both in terms of age, population, disabilities, knowledge, backgrounds, and in all matters you can think of, we need to be diverse. And that is not just because of being closer to your needs and to develop something for the broad population, so to speak, but it's also about power. So tech is really shaping our future, and we need to have that power being distributed between many and not just a few. And it's really, the key point is that AI isn't neutral. It reflects the value of its creators. So that's why we need this diverse group of AI teams putting the applications together. We also see new methods like synthetic data opening doors for the AI being less biased, but it isn't replacing human knowledge yet. We need to combine these, and by doing that, we also need diverse human knowledge. So social scientists, gender experts, and technologists need to work side by side and to represent a broad part of our societies, so that we can capture different kinds of needs there is for these AI applications.
Thank you so much, Moa, for such a clear and complete answer. And I believe it goes back to say that in order for AI to be not biased and to be equal to everyone, it goes to the team who's creating it. Hence, once again, it's very important to have a diverse and inclusive team, because it brings out the richness of the experiences of all the people who are included in it.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely. And I just want to add that I think also with all the AI tools coming and being more available for everyone to use, the prompting will also be super important to be good at in the near future, and to be able to ask critical questions and broad questions to different AI tools like ChatGPT. We need to be many doing that and not just a few, because we will then train these AI tools in a narrow way that will not be diverse. So to have many people from different backgrounds and expertise asking critical and various questions and prompting these tools together will be super important if we want to build useful useful AI tools that actually create equality and democratic societies rather than the opposite.
Thank you for the addition. I think it's very interesting that you're bringing this up. And I mean, this could be this could be an episode on its own, just talking about how to prompt
Yes.
AI in order for it to be more inclusive and more democratic. Now, talking about democracy and advancement, I would love to speak to you a bit about Sweden, where you're originally from, because Sweden is often seen as a leader in equity. So I want you to answer us. What has Sweden does right when it comes to inclusion in tech and innovation?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, we still have challenges in Sweden. We still have women receiving less startup funding, for example, and fewer women entering the STEM fields. But on a systemic level, Sweden has taken important steps. We have a strong public investment in innovation, and we have equal access to education. Education is free in Sweden, and we have progressive social policies that support work-life balance that makes a huge difference. We also have strong grassroots communities like Women in Tech Sweden is very powerful and have power over the agenda, what is being said and debated about tech in Sweden. And we also have, like mentioned before, public programs like AI to promote gender equality from Vinnova's side. And we have governmental assignment saying that as a public agency, we need to take gender equality into account when we fund projects, both in terms of quantitative and qualitative matters, meaning that we need to think about that we have diverse and equal teams when we fund, but also in terms of what is the innovation projects aiming for, like qualitatively, is this innovation something that is solving a need that women or underrepresented groups or communities have, or is it just focusing on male-dominated sector and is the users only being men, for example? So, but they also focus on in integrating these norm-critical and gendered perspectives in the specific solution. And also in terms of not just counting heads in the startup teams that get funded, but also to really see. So maybe there is a 50-50 percentage of men and women or non-binary in this team, but who is in the position of taking the this decision of the budget, for example, or how many hours do women spend in the project? So we also look into these things to make sure that we create a more inclusive and gender equal innovation system when we decide on funding.
That is a very interesting approach. And I want to go back again to what you mentioned, that Sweden is making it a norm to ensure that there is equal funding for both men and women. And it leads me to believe that there is a lot of efforts for diversity, equity, and inclusion in Sweden. And now that you're living in North America, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the contrast where now in North America, we're seeing a lot of defunding of DI efforts? So as someone who is an expert, if I could say, in that domain, what do you think the global consequences are when we stop investing in gender equality and inclusion?
Well, if we stop investing in equality, we risk slowing down on innovation itself. Diverse teams and diverse perspectives bring better solutions, broader perspectives, and more ethical technology. So without DEI work, we'll see more biased system, declining trust in tech, and missed opportunities to solve global challenges. Because inclusion isn't just about fairness, it's about a key driver of progress. And in Sweden, we align with the EU policies under Horizon Europe, which require research and innovation projects to have a gender equality plan. That's an eligibility criteria for funding. They need to integrate gender perspectives into research content because that's a matter of excellence. and also to make sure that there is a gender balance in boards, panels, and teams,
Mhm.
as a way of saying who would get the funding if there's like two projects having the same score. So it's about making sure innovation serves everyone, not just a few, basically.
Very well said. Thank you for sharing your opinion very openly with us. How can companies ensure that there are enough DI efforts within the company itself in order to ensure that everyone is included and women are given a place at the table? If you could think if perhaps something you have seen at Vinnova or elsewhere, but I would love to have your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean it's that's the hard part, right? It's
Mhm.
easy to set a gender equality plan. The hard part is to really live by it. So to make sure you're doing it, you have to begin, of course, with creating structures and plans. But then you need to create this culture in the startup, and that is hard work, definitely.
Mhm.
And I think you need to make sure that you recruit experts in this, but that you also bring help from outside, but also being open when with the parts that's difficult, because when you bring together diverse cultures and needs and people and perspectives and everything, it creates sometimes difficulties when it comes to collaboration, because there will be fractions, of course, but it's in these fractions that innovation occurs. So it will be worth it. But my recommendation would be to actually look at the different gender equality plans and the help that the Horizon Europe offer on their website. That could be a first step.
Well, thank you so much for giving this tip to our listeners when it comes to improving DI initiative within a company. Now, I know that other than your regular career and regular job with Vinnova, you also have some other initiative that you're leading. So I would like us to spend some time speaking about them. So if we could start by the program Just Tech, the think tank you're helping to build. Can you tell us what is the mission behind it and what do you hope to accomplish with it?
Yes, so the Just Tech think tank is funded by Vinnova. It's a project led by researcher Erika Johnson at Linköping University. So it's about rethinking how we build technology, that we can use justice, equity, and inclusion at the core of AI tools. And it's an international think tank, so it's about collecting expertise and knowledge about this approach to AI, and to see what we need to get on the table to develop this kind of tech solutions. So it's really about make sure that we ask these questions about who is AI shaped by and for what, and really make sure that the problems about biased data sets is really taking to serious account when building these new solutions, and that questions regarding gender, intersectionality, diversity, and social justice is part of the innovation process from the start, because it's could be very harmful, not just in terms of social matters, but also in terms of the economy of startups, to try to course correct this afterwards.
Mhm.
So you can say that the think tank is a result of the AI to promote gender equality program that we launched in 2019, and now we taking the knowledge from that program into the think tank and combining it with other knowledge collected internationally. So it's a way of connecting best and sharing promising or best practices from developers, researchers, investors, and policymakers across the Nordics, Europe, and North America. So it's new, and it's really interesting to follow it, and I hope it will be something good for the AI community and the tech community all around the world, basically.
Well, it does look and sound like a very interesting program. And I feel that there is so much research behind it. And the collaboration between Nordic countries and then North American countries, I think it will be very interesting because although everyone is trying to achieve equality, gender equality, inclusion, and whatnot, I feel that the fact that it's different cultures doing it, perhaps, ideas could be shared to improve the whole process. So I think it's a wonderful, and I will be sure reading about it to see what research, you have accomplished and what deductions you have made. So thank you very much for sharing this with us.
Yeah.
And another thing that you're part of is actually the Kofi Annan Foundation Global Expert Council. So can you tell us more? What is the focus of that initiative and what future leadership skills you think we should be cultivating?
Mhm. Yeah, so it's called the Leadership Excellence in Politics. It's an initiative by a political foundation, Geneva Center for Security Policy, and Kofi Annan Foundation and Nexus Vesting. These organizations joined forces to launch an initiative to bridge the gap between what we know about effective and ethical political leadership and also citizens' expectations and political leaders' actions. So I took part of that course in Geneva last year, and then I became part of the board, the Expert Research Council, basically. So we are collecting ideas and thoughts of the future of political leadership because there's been a decrease in trust in political leaders around the world, and we can see that there are backlashes when it comes to democracy. So we are sitting together across the world and thinking about, so what do we need to do to reshape trust, and what is the new type of leadership skills that is needed for our new international institutions. So it's in the beginning, but it's very interesting, and it's about connecting both human leadership and also using these new tools in terms of technology and innovation, and also be able to use foresight as a skill in leading societies towards the changes that we really need to make sure that we still have a sustainable planet. Basically, it's a lot of new insights for me myself, but we will focus on these big questions and share different kinds of open letters and research. So you can stay tuned, basically.
Well, that sounds like a very passionate program to be
Yeah.
part of. And I can just think about the complexities that you will be facing being part of this program because of all the different policies that, could be fitting for one place and not fitting for the other. And yeah, you're very courageous, if I could put it this way.
Well, thank you.
And talking about courage, Moa, I know that this summer you actually moved from Sweden to the States, more specifically I was going to say Sao Paulo, but it's not Sao Paulo, in Palo Alto. I'm thinking of a different country, yes, to represent Sweden at the Nordic Innovation House. So what will your new role look like there? And what can you tell us about the Women in Tech Diplomacy Network that I know you're also part of in Palo Alto?
Yeah, so I moved over to Silicon Valley, the city of Palo Alto, for just 2 weeks ago. So everything is completely new still. But I'm here to be part of Team Sweden. So we 3 people from Vinnova representing Sweden at the Nordic Innovation House located in Palo Alto. And I'm super excited and humble to learn about this tech ecosystem and VC ecosystem that is here in Silicon Valley. It's really a melting pot with people from all around the world trying to create the newest tech. And my role will be on supporting Swedish and Nordic startups and scale-ups with mostly deep tech focus, and help them to connect with the innovation ecosystem here in Silicon Valley or the Bay Area. So the main, I will be the main contact point for Swedish startup engagement here, and making sure that our entrepreneurs get the visibility, support, and networks they need to grow here in Silicon Valley, but also to make sure that the actors being here get interested in Sweden and the Nordics, and to see how we can build a bridge between the Nordics and Silicon Valley to create better innovations that we all need. And of course, I'm also bringing my my work and engagement on gender equality with me. So there are actors here that already started to develop something that is named Women in Tech Diplomacy Network. So it's with actors from the greater Nordics, such as Estonia, but also other European and American partners. So it will be networking events where we bring women in tech and diplomacy together to talk about, both the difficulties and the fun part of being a woman in tech and diplomacy, and to see how we can make sure women's voices are part of shaping the future of tech, not just in Sweden, but everywhere. So I'm excited about get that work started.
Moa, wow, this is amazing. Not only a new change of countries and getting acclimated with a new city and new lifestyle, but also you are persisting in doing new things and continuing what you have already started in Sweden. So I'm pretty sure the future is going to be very exciting for you. And I hope that you will enjoy living in Palo Alto and the San Francisco Bay Area. So I hope that you're going to enjoy your stay there.
Well, thank you so much. I need it.
Yeah. And actually, one thing I can give you an advice about. I was told, I've been to San Francisco a couple of times for work, and I come from Montreal, so I'm used to cold weathers. But when I knew I was going to San Francisco, in my mind, it's going to be warm. And someone told me the coldest winter is a summer day in San Francisco. So always dress up accordingly and bring a jacket just in case.
That's great. I'll try not to be, thinking that I know what I talk about when I'm lived through winters in Sweden. It can definitely be a whole other kind of winter experience there. So thank you. I'll bring a sweater, I guess.
No problem. And Moa, to close, what message would you want to give women looking to make a difference in tech, even if they're not coders or engineers like yourself?
Well, that's a very good and important question. For me, I knew that I always was interested in social science, but then I realized that tech is really shaping the future. So if you do not see yourself represented in tech, you do not see yourself represented in the future. So what future is that? We need more women, non-binary, and unrepresented people in these roles in tech, because the future is too important to be left to just a few. So there are many ways in, policy-wise, coding-wise, or user-wise, but make sure to scale your knowledge about how your context is connected to tech, and get active in communities like Women in Tech or Women in AI to get started. It is open to all women and non-binary interested in tech and AI, and it's a good start. So, don't leave this tech future to just a few. Get involved.
Thank you so much for such a well said advice to young women. And thank you so much, Moa, for being with us here today. Your work is a reminder that innovation without equity isn't really innovation at all. And I'll be cheering for you, from this side of the ocean as you take your new role and continue your mission. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Hanna, for a great conversation and for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. So talk soon.
Talk soon. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in for this episode of Femmegineering Women of Influence. If you have enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep breaking barriers and building the future.